FBI agent pulled over and humiliated by police for his dreadlocks. What happens next is shocking. Imagine driving through town in broad daylight, minding your own business, when flashing lights appear in your rearview mirror. Your heart races, but you stay calm, you know your rights, and you've done nothing wrong. So why is that patrol car tailing you so closely? What could you have done to justify being pulled over? Is it your skin color? Your dreadlocks? Your clothing? This is the question Jacob Moore, a dedicated undercover FBI agent, never thought he'd need to ask himself. But on this day, everything changed, and not in the way he expected. Jacob had spent months undercover, blending into the streets while taking on gritty, high-stakes work most people wouldn't dare approach. His dreadlocks, streetwear, and beat-up car were part of the job. But on this particular day, as he headed home after a grueling week, he wasn't working an assignment. He was just a man trying to get home to his family. Questions begin to build. What's the first thing that crosses your mind when flashing lights appear in your rearview mirror? Do you feel the officer's judgment before they've even stepped out of their car? That unshakable sense of being guilty until proven innocent? For Jacob, the tension was palpable. He wasn't nervous. He'd handled far worse situations in his career. But this felt different. It wasn't a routine traffic stop. Something about it carried an unsettling weight. As the officer approached, Jacob noticed her hand resting on her gun holster, not in cautious readiness, but as though she were preparing to draw at a moment's notice. Her eyes scanned his car, lingering on his dreadlocks, his clothes, and his skin. "License and registration," she demanded, her tone cold and detached. Jacob complied, handing over his documents, but even as she accepted them, her gaze revealed more than her words. She wasn't seeing a man. She was seeing a stereotype. Humiliation in broad daylight. Instead of checking his paperwork and letting him go, the officer lingered, her questions sharp and accusatory. "Where are you coming from? Where are you headed?" she asked, but the tone was anything but neutral. Her eyes narrowed, fixating on his appearance. "Been smoking something today?" she asked, the edge in her voice impossible to miss. Jacob, calm but growing weary of the interrogation, responded firmly, "No, officer. I haven't." "Still," she smirked, taking a step back as though ready to escalate. "Mind if I search the car?" she asked, her voice almost daring him to object. Jacob knew his rights. "No, you don't have probable cause to search my car," he replied evenly. That's when her demeanor shifted. His assertion of his rights was met with hostility. Her eyes flared with anger, as if she viewed his calm refusal as a direct challenge to her authority. Without warning, she called for backup. The scene escalates as two more squad cars arrived. Jacob could feel the stares of passers-by, some recording the unfolding spectacle on their phones. He wasn't just a man pulled over anymore. He was a public spectacle. "Step out of the car," she ordered, her hand still hovering near her gun. Jacob complied, moving cautiously to avoid provoking the situation further. But as the officer patted him down roughly against the hood of his car, he felt the weight of her assumptions pressing down on him. To her, he was just another black man with dreadlocks, a criminal in her eyes. But she had no idea who she was dealing with. The shocking truth. When the officer finished her fruitless search and stepped back empty-handed, Jacob decided it was time to reveal the truth. "Check my ID again," he said, his voice steady. Confused, she ran his ID through her system. The moment the results appeared, her expression shifted, from smug confidence to shock. Her colleagues glanced at the screen, then at Jacob, their faces mirroring her disbelief. You're a federal agent?" she stammered, her voice faltering. "That's right," Jacob confirmed, his tone unwavering. The tables had turned. The officer, once so confident in her authority, now scrambled to justify her actions. "I didn't know," she stammered, but Jacob cut her off. "You didn't care to know," he said. "You didn't ask. You just saw me as a threat because of how I look." Her silence spoke volumes. The aftermath. As the weight of her actions sank in, Jacob asked the question that had been burning in his mind from the moment she pulled him over. Why did you really stop me? The officer averted her gaze, unable to answer. Jacob took a deep breath, his voice firm yet calm. You stopped me because of my hair, my skin, and your assumptions. Am I wrong? She said nothing, her silence an admission of guilt. Jacob's patience had run its course. What if I wasn't an agent? What if I were just an ordinary black man trying to get home? What then? Her face paled, and Jacob had faced danger before, but this was different. This wasn't about his line of work. This was personal. What would you do in his shoes? Would you stay calm? Demand justice? Or feel the sting of helplessness as the world watched you be treated as less than human? In a world where appearances still dictate how people are treated, how do we break the cycle? If you've made it this far, comment where you're watching from and leave 100 points in the comments. You're the kind of person who finishes what they start. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on our latest videos.